Okay, we're going to begin the June 16th Traffic Board meeting for the City of Fall River. Prior to the meeting, I'm going to read the open meeting law. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. First order of business would be taking attendance, please, Madam Secretary.
Natalie Mello. Here. Helen Rigo.
She's absent.
Sergeant Dolan.
Here.
And Officer Tom
Here.
Harris.
Okay. Next on the agenda would be the approval of the meeting minutes from the May 19th meeting. I'm sure everyone has had a chance to read them. Natalie Mello made a motion to approve. I second that motion. Anyone opposed to approving the meeting minutes from the prior meeting? Madam Secretary, can you take attendance, please?
Yes. Approval of May's meeting minutes. Natalie Mello. Yes. Sergeant Dolan.
Yes.
And Officer Tom.
Yes.
Okay, the meeting minutes are approved. Next on the agenda would be the citizen input. Is anyone here for citizen input time? Citizen input. Is anyone here just for citizen input?
No, I only brought a pencil.
Okay, there's no citizen input.
They might have some.
Okay, curb cuts. First on the curb cuts list is 4621 North Main Street. These would help. The existing opening is 20 feet. The existing curbing to be removed is listed as 16 feet. However, that belongs in the other category. Proposed curbing to be added should be 16 feet. Opening proposed after the alteration would be 36 feet. This is a corner lot. An existing 20-foot curb cut is on the south side of the home on Apple Creek Lane. The proposal is to remove an additional 16 feet of curb on the north side of the home on North Main Street to allow additional parking. City engineer has no objection to this request. This is in a single-family residential area where nobody parks on the street, so the curb cut would have no effect on the neighbor's ability to park there. So I make a motion that this be approved for the curb cut at 4621 North Main Street.
So, Sergeant, so you're saying that the existing curbing to be removed?
They're not removing 16 feet. They're gonna leave it.
But it says the proposal is to remove an additional 16. If you read the paragraph.
You're right. I'm reading it wrong. You're right.
Okay.
They're
Well,
not-
because if it needs to be corrected, I would
Right.
have to correct it before it went down to council.
Right, I'm reading it wrong. It's written correctly.
Okay.
So there'd be a total of 36 feet of curbing that is not in place at 4621 North Main Street when they're
Okay.
done making the alterations. And I make a motion to approve this. Anyone care to second it?
Second.
Seconded by Natalie. Anybody opposed? Madam Secretary, can you take a roll call, please?
Roll call to approve curb cut for 4621 North Main Street. Natalie?
Yes.
Sergeant Dolan?
Yes.
And Officer Tom?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next on the agenda is a curb cut at 75 Adams Street. The existing opening is 12 feet. The existing curbing to be removed would be an additional 12 feet, making the total opening 24 feet. It's also a corner lot. An existing 12 feet is on the north side of the home on Weedemo Street. The proposal is to remove an additional 12 feet of curb on the north side of the home to widen the existing driveway and allow for additional parking. City engineer has no objections to this request. This scenario is exactly the same as the North Main Street scenario. It doesn't affect any neighbor parking because it's all single-family homes, so I make a motion that this also be approved. Anyone care to second that motion?
I'll second.
Officer Farris seconds the motion. Anyone opposed to this? Okay, Madam Secretary, can you take roll call, please?
Roll call for 75 Adams Street for curb cut. Natalie Mallow. Sergeant Dolan.
Yes.
And Tom Farris.
Yes.
Okay, that's approved. It's for 75 Adams Street. Next on the agenda, 332 Herman Street. Total existing opening is 15 feet. The existing curbing to be removed would be 5 feet, making the opening proposed after the alteration 20 feet. This is a corner lot. An existing 15-foot curb cut is on the southwest side of the home on Herman Street. The proposal is to remove an additional 5 feet of curb on the southwest side of the home to widen the existing driveway to allow for additional parking. The consulting city engineer has no objections to this request. And as appears to be the scenario today, this is exactly the same as the previous two. Single-family residences, nobody parks on the street. This would have no effect on the neighbors' parking. I make a motion that this too be approved. Anyone care to second this?
I'll second.
Seconded by Officer Farris. Anyone opposed to this? Madam Secretary, can you do roll call, please?
Sure. Roll call for 332 Herman Street. Natalie.
Yes.
Officer Tom Farris.
Yes.
And Sergeant Dolan.
Yes. Okay, that also carries. The final curb cut application is for 91 Pelham Street. Again, this is a corner lot. Total existing opening is 30 feet, 5 inches. Existing curbing to be removed is 10 feet, 5 inches. Opening proposed after alteration would be 41 feet. This is a corner lot. An existing 30 feet, 5-inch openings on Mott Street side of the home. The proposal is to remove an additional 10 feet, 5 inches of curb to widen the existing driveway to allow additional parking. The consulting city engineer has no objections to this request. When I check the area, all they're gonna lose is 1 parking space in the neighborhood, but they'll be adding at least 1 parking space in the driveway, so it would have a net zero effect on parking in the neighborhood. So I recommend that this be approved, and I make a motion to approve this one. Anyone care to second that motion?
I will second it.
Officer Farris seconds it. Anyone opposed to 91 Pelham Street curb cut? Madam Clerk, can you take a roll call, please?
Yep. Roll call for curb cut on 91 Peckham Street. Natalie.
Yes.
Helen Rigo. Officer Tom Farris.
Yes.
And Sergeant Dolan.
Yes. Can we also note for the record that Helen Rigo has arrived in time for this particular curb cut? Okay, that's it for the curb cuts. Now it's handicap space requests. And the first one is for 93 Pulaski Street. Over here. I went over the application, everything was in order. There is no parking available, and I recommend that, actually, I make a motion that this be approved. Helen seconds the motion. Anyone opposed to approving the handicap parking at 93 Pulaski Street? Madam Secretary, can you do a roll call, please?
Sure. Roll call for HP space at 93 Pulaski Street. Natalie Mello.
Yes.
Helen. Sergeant Dolan.
Yes.
And Officer Tom Farris.
Yes.
Okay, 93 Pulaski Street passes. But now we have some explaining to do for you. I'll tell you first. When you get a handicap parking space, if one of your neighbors has a visitor that happens to be handicapped, and that space is available and they have a proper placard, they are legally allowed to park in that space. I can't hear you.
They're never gonna have a chance because I only get out of the house when I came here, go to the doctor.
Okay, I'm just letting you know that.
I thought this one would be just for me.
That's why I'm telling you it's
They're
not.
building houses.
Okay,
It's
That's
not
what-
gonna be parked at all.
that's why I'm telling you it's not, ma'am. The handicap parking is available for anyone handicapped that needs to park there. It doesn't happen often, but the police department, we get calls sometimes. People say, hey, somebody's in my handicap spot. And then we get there and there's a car with a valid placard in the handicap spot. That's not a violation of the law. It's rare. I just want to let you know that that can happen. And they're not breaking the law if they happen to park in that spot.
Oh, all right.
Okay? Like you said, if you never leave your house, you don't have to worry about it.
I only leave you to go to the doctor's,
All
that's
right.
it.
But I'm just letting you know that if there's a car there with a proper placard, we won't
I just wanna, you know,
tag them.
because it's gonna build, the house is there. and
Don't get up yet. There's still more to the story.
Okay.
Now she'll tell you.
Me, I'm no hurry,
The only thing that I'm going to go over is what is the procedure once the application is approved here. So once the application is approved here, my maintenance crew is going to go out and do the measurements. We then send that down to city council. It goes in front of full council to go into ordinance. So it could be anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks before you see the poles and the signs. Okay?
That's it.
Thank you.
It's been approved.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
God bless you, sweetheart.
Okay, next on the agenda is another handicap request for 85 Sunset Hill. Party's not present. Lori, don't we forward this to the housing?
No, because Sunset It's just
All right, so it's one of the perimeter streets?
Yeah, we do have to call her because I need to know what street. Is it Charles, is it Bowen, is it,
All right.
so, I don't know if you want to table it, or,
Yeah, the party's not present, so I'm going to make a motion that we table this. Anyone care to second the motion of tabling this? Oh, I'm sorry, Helen made the motion to table, I second it. Anyone opposed to tabling this? Madam Secretary, can you do a roll call, please?
got it? Motion to table 85 Sunset Hill, applicant not in attendance, Natalie? Yes. Helen? Sergeant Dolan?
Yes.
And Officer Tom?
Yes.
Okay, that is tabled. Next on the agenda is 131 Foster Street. Party's here. I went over the application, everything's in order. The driveway is not available for the tenant, so I make a motion that we approve handicap parking for 131 Foster Street. Anyone care to second that? Second. Natalie seconds it. Is anyone opposed to that? Madam Secretary, can you do roll call, please?
Roll call for 131 Foster Street for a handicap space, Natalie? Yes. Helen? Sergeant Dolan?
Yes.
Officer Tom?
Yes.
Okay, 131 Foster Street passes. So you're all set. Next up is 56 Hall Street, right there. Party's present. Same scenario, there's no off-street parking available for the tenant. All of our paperwork is in order. I make a motion that we approve handicap parking for 56 Hall Street. Anyone? Helen seconds it. Anyone opposed to that? Madam Secretary, can you do roll call, please?
Roll call for 56 Hall Street for a handicap spot, Natalie? Yes. Helen? Yes. Sergeant Dolan?
Yes.
Officer Tom?
Yes.
Okay, 56 Hall Street passes. You're all set, ma'am. You may.
The pole is there,
Yep.
all they need to do is put the sign up.
Yeah, we just took those down recently, I
The
believe.
one in front of me,
Yep.
Okay,
okay?
yep,
And I won't take her parking space either, I park it back.
very good.
I'm not like that. Hey, can I ask another question? How come,
You're limited to only one, I'm sorry. I'm kidding.
how come they cover their things, and a lot of times it's not even their plaque,
They covered what?
their picture.
Oh, they're able to cover their picture, but if an officer asks them, they have to provide the placard to the officer. But they're able to cover their picture for their anonymity.
I leave mine open, so I cover
With
it.
the numbers on the plaque,
You
we're able
can.
to pull up a picture if we need to.
Yeah?
So if we
The
go,
driver's
You
license.
don't have to cover it.
No, okay.
you don't have to, no.
Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you.
Great night.
Be safe.
Thank you.
You too.
You're beautiful.
Okay, next up is 323 Peckham Street. I went over the paperwork. The applicant is a tenant in the house. According to the paperwork, there is no off-street parking available. So I make I make a motion that we approve the handicap parking request for 323 Peckham Street. Anyone care? I'm sorry? There is a driveway there, and the landlord has provided documentation that they do not allow the tenant to park in the driveway.
Motion to accept.
Okay, I made the motion to accept. Natalie has seconded it. Is anyone opposed to approving handicap parking for 323 Peckham Street?
I just have one question. So the handicap application is going to expire August 21st. 3 weeks before, you should be getting a new one. If you don't, let us know, and because there could be a little bit behind, okay?
Okay. Can you use the same one?
Once it's expired, you can't use it anymore. But they've been really good, so it's just that, like I said, if you feel that 3 weeks have gone by, just give us a call, and we can always call them.
I'll be 39 years married that day,
Hang on.
so I expect a gift from you.
The motion has been made and seconded. No one's opposed, but we have to do a roll call, please, Madam Secretary.
Roll call for 323 Peckham Street for HP Space, Natalie Mello,
Yes.
Helen, Sergeant Dolan,
Yes.
Officer Tom.
Yes.
Okay, 323 Peckham Street's been approved, sir.
Have a nice evening.
Have a great night.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
And the final request on the agenda is regarding a stop sign request at Quikasham and Alden Street. I've got a letter here from City Councilor Linda Pereira stating, "Dear Mrs. Ferrera, I've been contacted by several residents from the area of Quikasham and Alden Streets. When vehicles are attempting to turn onto Quikasham Street from Alden Street, it is very difficult to see oncoming traffic due to the layout of Quikasham Street. Since this is a very high traffic area, I'm hereby requesting stop signs be placed on Quikasham Street for northbound and southbound drivers at the intersection of Alden Street. Thank you in advance for your consideration, and I await your reply. Linda Ferrera." So upon receipt of the letter, I went into the police department's in-house computer system, and I looked up car accidents at the intersection of Quikasham and Alden Street over the last 5 years. And we've only had 2 car accidents at that intersection in 5 years.
In the 5 years, there's only 2 accidents.
2 accidents in 5 years at that intersection. Myself and I know Officer Farris, we traveled through that intersection daily, and I don't see the same issues that the constituents are mentioning at that intersection. And I've been vocal in the past about adding extra stop signs all over the city. Most of the time, they're counterproductive to what you want them to do. And in this case here, we can have more discussion on it, but it's my proposal that we do not put more stop signs at that intersection. Would you care to add anything to that?
I'll second it, and having been on patrol, Sector 5, I can't count how many years, and even now, daily, I travel that neighborhood, having been brought up in that neighborhood. Stop signs can be counterproductive, as Sergeant Dolan explains. Stop signs are a great control of traffic, but it's very confusing when there's no right-of-way. No one knows the right-of-way. And when you have 2 stop signs that are opposing, everyone knows what the right-of-way is. The other issue down there at Walmart is it is a congested area, it is a high-traveled area, and when you get to a certain time in the morning, and a certain time in the afternoon, and a certain time in the evening, stop signs will do nothing more but cause more confusion, chaos, and quite frankly, possibly more collisions in that area than keeping the flow of traffic moving. That is pretty much the basis for me seconding the denial of putting a stop sign there. I don't think it's necessary. I think maybe a little more caution in approaching Quikasham Street from Alden westbound is probably a little more needed.
Any further discussion? Okay, so I made the motion to deny the request. Officer Farris seconds the motion to deny the request. Is anyone opposed to denying that request? So, Madam Secretary, can you do roll call, please?
Yes.
This is for the motion of denying this application.
Okay, so the motion is the roll call is for the denial of stop signs on Quikasham at Alden. Natalie?
Yes.
Helen? Sergeant Dolan?
Yes.
And Officer Tom.
Yes.
Okay, so we will not be installing stop signs at Alden and Quikasham Street. Next on the agenda are rescinded handicap spots. Request from the Traffic Department to have the following handicap spaces rescinded due to individuals no longer utilizing the space because they have either moved, no longer drive, or have passed away. Tower Street, Oliver Street, Healy Street, Canal Street, Grant Street, and Snell Street. I make a motion that these handicap parking spaces be rescinded. Anyone care to second? Helen seconded it. Anyone opposed to that? Okay, Madam Secretary, can you do roll call, please?
Roll call to rescind all HPs that have been removed. Natalie?
Yes.
Helen? Sergeant Dolan?
Yes.
And Officer Tom.
Yes.
Okay, those handicap spaces will be removed. Is there any other business to discuss? Okay, I make a motion that this meeting be adjourned. Anyone second that motion? Helen seconded the motion. Anyone opposed to adjournment? Madam Secretary, can you take a roll call, please?
Roll call to adjourn meeting, traffic board meeting. Helen?
Yes.
Natalie?
Yes.
Officer Dolan?
Yes.
And Sergeant Dolan.
Thank you for the demotion, and yes?
Officer Tom.
Yes.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned.